Most people assume ancient humans just huffed it out. No fan, no ice, no AC, just sweat through the night and deal with it. That's not quite right. Because when scientists actually studied how humans slept before electricity, they found something stranger, something that doesn't match the story at all. Historians call it segmented sleep. Sleep scientists call it a lost survival system, and once you understand it, you'll never look at your own restless nights the same way again. Stay till the end. The last part will change how you think about your own bed. Let's start with the obvious question. Did ancient humans even sleep through the night? For most of history, the answer is no, not because the heat kept waking them up, because that's just how sleep worked. A historian named Roger Ekirch spent over a decade digging through old diaries, court records, and medical texts. He found the same pattern over and over again. People didn't sleep in one long block, they slept in two. Imagine you are there. It's a hot summer night before electric light existed. You lie down not long after dark. This is your first sleep. A few hours in, you wake up. Not from a nightmare, not from the heat. It's just normal. You lie in the dark. Maybe you pray. Maybe you talk quietly with whoever's next to you. Maybe you just watch the coals of the fire glow and think. Then, after an hour or so, you drift into a second sleep until morning. This wasn't insomnia. This was Tuesday. But here's what's fascinating. That gap in the middle of the night, that watch, gave people something we don't have anymore. Room to cool down. A hot body doesn't just lie there and suffer. It gets up. It moves air around. It steps outside for a minute. Ancient humans had built-in relief valves in their sleep, and they didn't even know it. So if segmented sleep wasn't really about heat, what was? That's only half the story, because heat does control sleep, just not in the way you'd guess. In 2015, a scientist named Jerome Siegel did something almost nobody had done before. He strapped sleep monitors onto real hunter-gatherers, not lab volunteers, actual people living without electricity right now in the modern world. The Hadza of Tanzania, the San of the Kalahari, the Tsimane of the Bolivian rainforest, 3 different continents, 3 cultures with zero contact with each other. Same result, none of them went to sleep at sunset. On average, they stayed awake for over 3 hours after dark, just like most of us do, and they didn't fall asleep because they got tired. They fell asleep as the temperature dropped. Every single night, sleep began right as the air started cooling, and they woke up at the coldest point of the whole 24 hours, right before dawn. So what did that actually mean for a species without walls or air conditioning? It meant heat wasn't just uncomfortable, it was a biological stop sign. Your body needs its core temperature to drop about 1 to 2 degrees to fall asleep in the first place. That's not folklore, that's thermoregulation. When the air stays hot, your body can't let go of that heat, and sleep simply refuses to start. Which means on a brutally hot night, ancient humans weren't just uncomfortable, some nights they were biologically locked out of sleep entirely, and that's the kind of problem that either kills you slowly through exhaustion or forces you to get clever. They got clever. Walk into a home in ancient Mesopotamia or ancient Egypt, and you won't find a bedroom the way we picture one. You'll find a staircase leading up. Because when the desert sun went down, families climbed onto the roof. Mud brick walls hold heat like an oven all day, but by night the roof is the coolest place in the whole house. Higher up means catching whatever breeze exists. Away from walls means away from stored heat still radiating out like a furnace. Entire families slept up there, under the open sky, using the building itself as a tool against its own daytime heat. Compare that to modern life for a second. We build houses that trap heat behind glass and drywall, then we fight that heat with a machine plugged into the wall. Ancient builders didn't have that option, so they built the escape route into the architecture itself. But then history gets even stranger, because heat didn't just change where people slept, it changed how entire societies scheduled their day. Think about the word siesta. Most people think of it as laziness. It wasn't. In hot regions across the Mediterranean and beyond, the hours around midday were often the most dangerous hours to be awake and working. So life simply paused. People ate, then rested through the worst of the heat, then picked their work back up once the sun eased off. It wasn't a break from the day, it was survival scheduled directly into the calendar, and it might be the strangest part of all. Once you zoom out, this pattern repeats almost everywhere humans lived in serious heat. Shift the active hours, rest through the peak, let night do the work. Day can't. So what did people do with their own bodies, night after night, when the air itself refused to cool down fast enough? They used water, not showers, not baths necessarily. Evaporation. A wet cloth laid across the chest or forehead does something your skin can't do fast enough on its own. As that water evaporates, it pulls heat directly off the body. It's the same principle your sweat uses, just amplified. Sleeping near a courtyard fountain, near a riverbank, or even just keeping a jar of water by the sleeping mat wasn't comfort for its own sake. It was some of the only real cooling technology available for thousands of years, and sleeping platforms mattered more than you'd think too. Modern researchers studying the Hadza found that a simple woven mat raised slightly off the ground changes how heat heat and cool air move around a sleeping body all night long, it sounds almost too basic to matter. It mattered enormously. Now here's the detail that should genuinely unsettle you. When researchers studied those hunter-gatherer languages, the Hadza, San, and Tsimane, they found something missing. No word for insomnia. Not because these groups never had a rough night's sleep, but because lying awake in discomfort wasn't treated as a medical problem to be fixed. It was just part of being a body in a hot world, something you moved with, not something broken that needed a pill. We built an entire industry around fixing what our ancestors simply adapted to, but then science confirmed what history had been quietly saying all along. Heat has been shaping human sleep since before recorded history began. Every civilization that ever dealt with brutal heat came up with its own version of the same three moves. Change your architecture, change your schedule, change how your body sheds heat before you even try to close your eyes. We just forgot we ever had to. Here's the truth underneath all of this. Every single person alive today is still running on the exact same biology as someone lying on a rooftop in ancient Babylon 4,000 years ago. Same 1 to 2 degree temperature drop your body demands before sleep will even begin. Same restless, half-awake stretch when the air refuses to cool. Nothing about your body is upgraded. What changed is that we hid the problem instead of solving it. We traded rooftops, courtyards, wet cloths, and shifted schedules for a single machine hidden in the wall, quietly doing all of that work for us all night, without us ever noticing it's there. And that's the unsettling part. The moment that machine fails, on the one night the power goes out in the middle of a heat wave, you don't just feel hot. You feel exactly what every single one of your ancestors felt, going back tens of thousands of years, except they knew what to do about it. Most of us don't even know why we're awake. We traded all of that ancient, hard-won knowledge for a light switch, and most of us never even knew it was gone.